What's up, y'all? Hope y'all doing well. Today, I want to get into some background, maybe some lore, you could say, of how I started playing World. So I started playing World back in August of 2011, and it was very short. It was incredibly short. I only played World for 1 week. So how that happened was that I actually didn't have a PC to run World. Crazy, right? Because World was made for potatoes. But my laptop was not powerful enough to even run Need for Speed Most Wanted. It was a laptop I got from a family member. Super grateful that I had a laptop to use. I did have some pretty fun memories with that computer, but it was slow. This thing, we were already in 2010. I was still running Windows XP. It had a Pentium M. Pentium M. It didn't even hit 1 gigahertz on the clock, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was around 800 megahertz, single core. That thing had, I think, about 30 something gigs of hard drive space, which is wild because it's, now thinking about it, it's like, man, that thing was only slightly bigger than the amount of RAM I have now. Just insane. And in RAM, I only had 512 megabytes of RAM. So that thing, yeah, I didn't play any games with it whatsoever. It could not run anything for the most part. I mean, it was a laptop from 2003, so what do you expect? It was also a business laptop. It was a Toughbook. It was a Toughbook CFW2. Awesome laptop for what it was. I actually still have it with me, and I got rid of Windows XP, and I did boot up Linux. I forgot which one though. It was a very low-end version of Linux because that's the only thing it could run. Just to mess around and see how it is, and yeah, it's just here with me, just chilling. I honestly gotta frame it someday. But going back, so I was at a relative's house for a week before school started, and my relative, he already started school, so during that time I was alone, and he was the one who actually introduced me to PC gaming. I started out playing Fallout, Skyrim, Oblivion, those type of games. Team Fortress 2, that was a pretty big one for me. But he was like, alright, so let's try some racing games, since you like racing games. And at first we tried to get Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, which just came out, and back then, this dude had the most powerful PC in my mind. Even though it was just a Core 2 quad with integrated graphics, they had 4 gigs of RAM, which back then in 2011, 4 gigs of RAM was very good. I remember even in 2012 when I got a laptop with 6 gigs of RAM, I thought I was balling. And it's crazy how times have changed. So while we were trying to get Hot Pursuit to download, and after I downloaded, it didn't run so well. He was like, oh, what's this other game? Need for Speed World. So he downloaded that, and he made an account, and I watched him play for a little bit, and I was like, man, Need for Speed World. So I was watching videos on that game, and I'm like, man, I finally get to see it in action. Maybe I can play when he's done. And he had a red Mazda 3. He put the iridescent red, and it's so ironic. Wow. It is so ironic. The first car I driven on Need for Speed World was a red Mazda, and my first car is a red Mazda. Wow, that's crazy to me. But because of the fact he took the Mazda, when I made my driver, I just decided to get something different. So I saw a Mitsubishi Eclipse, and I was like, oh, Mitsubishi, pretty cool. Didn't know anything about the car stats and whatnot, and I remember just going into the world. This is before EA removed the chat, so everyone was talking, and it was popping. It was so lively, and there were players everywhere you went. Everywhere you drove, there were people messing around. You can go to the docks, you can go to the bridge, you can go to a random place in Rosewood. There was always someone there, and they weren't just AFK, people were driving around. You know, that vibe was something else, and I think the atmosphere and everything really encaptured me. And after that 1 week where I grinded a lot, I remember at a sleepover during one of those days, I literally played the entire night. That is the only time where I played by myself the entire night. But that was on a different account, a different driver that I made. But going back to the Cruise account, which it was called Cruise Dude 907, and that was actually a typo because it was supposed to be Crude Dude, and why Crude Dude? Because, man, I was like so young. I thought that was a cool name, right? So I remember just playing it and playing it, and man, I couldn't get enough of it. And after that week was done, I didn't play the game because I just didn't have access. I didn't go to my cousin's house enough to play the game. I just always thought about it though. I just always thought about, man, I really want to play this game so bad. And it was only until late 2012 where my computer was just so slow. And by that time, the computer was already 9 years old. So I was finally able to convince my parents that, hey, could I please get a new laptop? And I have a story about the next laptop for another video. But going a little back before that laptop, I actually was able to play World again in mid 2012 during the summer. So how I played was that I played on Mac. Yes, that's right. There was a guy named Paul the Toll, and he made rappers, which is essentially, I guess you can call it an early version of Wine. And he was able to port over NFS World to play on Mac. There were big restrictions though. One, you couldn't use the chat box at all, because if you did, and if you did an event or went to a safe house and came back into the open world, the game would crash. So most of the time, I interacted with players as a silent player, just racing around. But man, I had so much fun. And again, I only had limited time as well, because that computer was my siblings, and I was only able to be on the laptop when they were gone. Therefore, I really had limited moments. But all those moments I just had so much fun. And that feeling that when I first played, the first week I played World, it just never faded. And I think that's the one thing about World,